It seems like over the past 5 years, baritone guitars have absolutely exploded in popularity. Artists ranging from Phoebe Bridgers to Love to Ariel Posen to Mark Lettieri have all utilized these guitars to great extents. I have been in the market for a baritone guitar for over 3 years, since I tried out the Balaguer Tony Pizzuti Espada, an amazing guitar that I really wish I bought. In the years since I tried that guitar, I found myself chasing the baritone sound. I restrung and retuned my Jazzmaster to B standard, which only further solidified how much I wanted an actual baritone guitar. Finally, in October this year, I got super lucky. I found my white whale, a crafted in Japan Fender Jaguar baritone special. I never thought I would ever find this guitar in person, let alone be able to buy it. But fortunately, it was a great price and I got the guitar, and I absolutely love it. Since purchasing this guitar, I've used it extensively for songwriting, teaching, and of course, these videos. It's probably been my most used guitar over the past month or so. So today, I want to talk about my experience owning a baritone guitar, talk about how I use it, and if I believe the hype around baritone guitars is justified. It's going to be a really fun video. But first, welcome. My name's Cole, but you can call me Cole G. I love telling stories through music. If that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a lot. But alright, let's get into this video. I didn't want to rush into this video because I really wanted to have a solid grasp on my baritone guitar. Now having played it for probably hundreds of hours, I can say that it has absolutely exceeded my expectations. I will say when I initially got my baritone guitar, I was a bit intimidated by the heavier string gauge and the wider fretboard, but honestly, I embraced it so fast and I absolutely love it now. I have found the heavier string gauge works really well for both finger picking and picking with a pick. I primarily hybrid pick when I play guitar, and honestly, the only real difference between this guitar and a standard size guitar is just the 6th string. It's a bit heavier obviously, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but honestly, I got used to it fairly fast. Finger picking on my baritone has really surprised me. When you finger pick the 6th string, it really reminds me of a bass because you get a nice, warm, full sound that you would on a bass. But then when you use the other strings, it sounds like a regular guitar. To me, this reminds me of Lenny Breau, a guitarist who used a 7th string archtop and classical guitar when fingerpicking. He would use the 7th string for playing the bass and the other 6 strings for chords and playing melody on top of it. If you haven't heard of Lenny Breau, please check him out. He's a one-of-a-kind guitarist, probably a once-in-a-generation guitarist. He is absolutely phenomenal. Getting back to the actual build of my baritone guitar, I have really fallen for the wide neck this guitar has and the unique opportunities and challenges it presents. I find that I don't play as many notes with my baritone guitar, and that I'm more focused on creating a vibe with as little notes as possible compared to playing 100 million notes a second, like I sometimes do. Even though the neck is a bit wider and the frets are a bit larger, I find myself gravitating towards playing bigger chords. I don't know why, it kind of is counterintuitive, but I feel the bigger chords and more jazz-like chords I play with the baritone just have such a nice resonance to them, and they sound so deep because of the lower tuning. And I've been really enjoying trying to capture vibes that way rather than playing fast. But I also have consciously been trying to play less notes in general, so it could be that as well. Probably the biggest takeaway I've had from owning an actual baritone guitar is just realizing how versatile the guitar can be. Baritone guitars can really do it all. Using a baritone guitar for heavier music works exceptionally well because essentially it's a 7-string guitar in a 6-string body. You don't have the high E string, which may bother some people, but personally it doesn't bother me. As someone who has tuned down their standard scale guitars to B standard tuning, it's really nice to have a 6-string guitar that can play in B standard or A standard and have really good tension on the strings and not feel super loose and sloppy. This has made playing heavier music so much more fun for me because I'm not fighting the strings because they're too loose. They feel really good and it's just a lot of fun to play. I really enjoyed dabbling in heavier genres with this guitar, but that didn't surprise me because I more so associated baritone guitars with heavier music. What really surprised me, and it shouldn't have surprised me, but what did surprise me is just how well baritone guitars sound with cleaner guitar sounds. When I'm playing my baritone guitar through a cleaner amp sound, anything from lead lines to chords to simple bends just have an extra weight to them. They sound more haunting, they just sound super cool. These clean sounds work great with a ton of different genres, ranging from folk to blues to alternative rock to indie to ambient music. The list goes on and on. It's really inspiring and fun to play. When I play my baritone guitar with a clean sound, I absolutely love messing around with pedals, plugins, and effects just to add different textures and colors to my sound that I wouldn't just get with an amp and a guitar. It's really amazing how much you can actually do with a baritone guitar. When I first got my baritone guitar, I assumed I would only use it once in a while, maybe once a week for writing the odd song. But honestly, it has become such an integral instrument for writing. It's probably the guitar I use most for songwriting now. I am super surprised by how much this guitar has impacted my songwriting. Since my baritone guitar is in B standard tuning, I can play all the same chord shapes, scales, you name it, as I would in E standard tuning. However, since the baritone guitar is tuned lower, everything takes on a whole new life and sounds completely different. Familiar chord shapes that you've played thousands of times sound new and fresh and exciting. For instance, take a G chord shape. If you play that on a baritone guitar, it has such a rich, warm resonance to it. It's such a nice sounding chord. It sounds so pretty. The lower register just catches your ear and hooks you right in. However, one thing I quickly learned while using my baritone guitar is that some voicings don't work as great as others, especially if they involve the 6th string. Because the 6th string is tuned to a B and it's really low, sometimes chords can get a bit muddy sounding, especially if you have distortion on your sound. It's not going to cut through in a mix and it's just not going to sound great. I have found myself experimenting with different chord voicings on my baritone guitar, which has led me to explore new harmonic territory, which has then led me to new song ideas that I would never have written on a standard guitar. Beyond just chords, the baritone guitar has changed how I approach writing riffs. I really find the lower pitch of a baritone guitar has extra harmonic depth, which will make even the simplest riffs just sound massive. While I try to avoid the 6th string while playing chords on a baritone guitar, I've actually really enjoyed writing riffs with the 6th string because it just sounds so rich and harmonically interesting. Especially combining the 6th string with open strings, it just sounds super huge. If you do this with some delays and reverbs, you can create really cool pad-like textures with your playing that are super unique and super interesting to listen to. Now you can technically do all of this on a standard size guitar, an E standard tuning or E flat standard tuning or any of those tunings, but personally this is just how I've been using my baritone guitar. So having now owned a baritone guitar for over a month and having messed around with baritone tunings for years, is the hype around baritone guitars justified? The answer is yes. I have fallen head over heels for my baritone guitar. It's super inspiring for me to play. I always feel like I'm pushing myself to write different stuff with it, and I just love how it sounds, and I love how mine looks. I know that's not a baritone guitar exclusive thing, but I just love how my guitar looks. I think it looks so sick. It's so much fun to play, you play differently, and honestly, I can't recommend them enough. I think they work well with honestly any guitar collection, because you can find a use for it, whatever genre you play. But do you need one? Well, that's for you to decide and not me. It's not my job to tell you how to spend your money. If you feel a baritone guitar will enhance your guitar collection and that you'll enjoy it and you have the financial means to buy one, get one. You probably won't regret it. They're great guitars. But if you're on the fence about getting one and you're not really wanting to put the money down on getting one, here's 2 suggestions for you. 1. Try B standard tuning on one of your guitars. If you own more than one electric guitar, pick the one that has the longest scale length and restring it with heavy gauge strings and tune it to B standard tuning. Though the guitar won't have the same string tension as a baritone guitar, it will have the same pitch as it, and you'll be able to get an idea if you want that kind of sound. And the great thing about this option is if you don't like how it sounds, you just take the strings off and put standard strings back on, and your guitar is still the same guitar that you had before, and you only spent maybe $40 on 2 packs of strings, as opposed to a couple hundred at least on a baritone. The second option is to try a plugin that has a transposer built into it. The brand that immediately comes to mind is Neural DSP. A lot of their plugins have transposers built into it, and with Neural DSP, you have a 14-day free trial with their plugins. So hypothetically, you can find all the ones that have transposers and just keep doing 14-day free trials for as long as you possibly can to see if you like how it sounds. And if you like how it sounds, the pedals are definitely worth the money. I own 2 of their plugins and absolutely love them. I'm not being paid to say this is my own opinion. So it's honestly a good investment either way if you do play guitar at home and have an audio interface. The reason why I recommend these 2 options in particular is because this is what I actually did. In the 3 years between trying my first baritone guitar and buying a baritone guitar, I tuned my Jazzmaster down to B standard tuning for over 8 months and tried as many Neural DSP plugins with the transposer feature as possible until the Nolly X1 had the transposer feature built into it. This approach really solidified to me that I would actually use a baritone guitar and that it would be a good investment for me. But that's all I have to say today about baritone guitars. Now I want to hear from you. Do you own a baritone guitar? Have you ever tried a baritone guitar? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Let me know in the comments down below and let's have a discussion. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Thanks again for watching. My name's Kolji, and I'll see you in the next one.